Welcome to #SetLife.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Joe. Am I echoey? I always have some technical shit to talk about.
Well, sometimes when you're doing your intro, you get a little boisterous and you forget there's two other microphones. So when you holla, all three of them will catch it. Yeah.
Welcome to #SetLife, where we talk about our lives on set. Today we have with us Deon Hunt, an actor and tradesman who has, he'll tell us. Hello, Deon.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Good. So, let's start off with talking a little bit about, I don't want to see your qualifications, but who you are and what you do in the industry.
My name is Deon Hunt. I'm an actor, but I also do everything in film, not scoring and editing, because that's hard work.
It is hard work.
It is.
But I'm a cinematographer. I'm a sound recordist. I'm a writer as well.
Okay.
So what brings you to have so many skills? Titles.
People threw me into these skills when I first started acting because they didn't have someone to do it. So hey, you want to learn how to do this? And I was like, yeah, sure. Always the yes man, trying to learn new things because I didn't know how to shoot film until this one guy taught me, and now I'm better than him. So,
but that infamous story of you fell in love with being on set, so anything and everything to stay on set and be on set.
Yes.
And nourish that. And
yes. Still growing.
Yes.
What was, if I remember correctly, you and I had a conversation recently. You've not been to film school or a film curriculum of some kind.
Never.
So what was your entry point into being on set? What type of set was it? What was your role?
So that's funny. So my first opportunity into film, I was working with this guy. His name is Sean Brown. He was a person that went to film school. He said he's been making films for over 20 years. He came to me after I did a film with him that I don't remember the name of it, but he was like, and I got the series, like, I can't do it without you. Like, I can't even cast the project. And I was like, well, I'll help you, pretty much, because I was hell-bent on moving to Vegas at this time, but I stuck here to help him with the project. It's called My Stepkids. It was like a sitcom that was on WB20 at the time, before everybody started doing the Tubi stuff. And I cast the whole project probably in a week. From all the people that I've met in my acting journey, I had children actors, I had writers on board.
You said this was before you left the state, so this was here in Michigan?
Here in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
This was like 2013-ish.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, I did everything. I was the assistant director. I was a producer. Didn't know how to produce anything at the time.
It was really your networking skills. Like all the people you've networked with, you pulled that together to pull off this production.
And everything was cast within a week. The whole project. We started going to production immediately. It was fun. It was a great opportunity for me to learn everything that goes on in film.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine being on set is the best way to experience any number of the different roles. How long was this project for?
So the project initially was it was supposed to be ongoing, but because of the person that I am, like after we finished the first season, we had a meeting and they were talking about
how many episodes in the first season?
Probably like 6.
Okay.
I think a couple of them are on YouTube.
30-minute episodes?
Yep. He wanted to be kind of like Martin, but he's like, he don't want the writers to write it like Martin, but he ended up kind of doing some of the same things Martin does on his series, but with less talent.
And I imagine this wasn't a 3-camera studio shoot, was it? No. So you shot in actual locations?
Yes.
How did that go?
It was fun. It was interesting. Like I said, I learned a lot by making mistakes. You see him making mistakes. And he tried to do everything as well, write, direct, try to shoot some scenes and all that. So I ended up taking over as a cinematographer, and it kind of ignited my passion to shoot films. And I feel like since then, like I said, I grew from there. Like I feel like I became better because I started actively studying on YouTube, watching different cinematographers work on YouTube, looking at camera angles, the different type of camera angles and all that stuff.
Right.
But the project, it fell through because I felt like they were just using people. And it seems like a thing that kind of happens here.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
And we were supposed to do, he was talking about, we about to start season 2. And I was like, well, we can't do season 2 till people get paid for season 1.
Yeah.
And
season 1 needs to get some traction.
Yeah.
You know.
Because we had we had Clifton Powell on it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, really? Yeah. Have a reason for a season 2.
Yeah.
You need to have a reason for a season 2.
And pay people. Like, I stood up for everything. Even the director, he's like, we want to appreciate Deon for helping us get this project off the line. And then once I said that about we need to pay people for season 1, and then everybody was like, well, how you just going to say that, we helped you start your career, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm for everybody. Like, we had a meeting.
Yeah.
This was like the worst meeting I've ever had in my life in film. And they was like, everybody was telling what their job is on this production. And then it came to me and he was like, well, Deon, tell him what you do. I was like, my name is Deon Hunt, and I don't even know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Because that's where my mind was at. I feel like it was a lot going on with that production, and it wasn't right. I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good time to ask you this question, because we were kind of doing a little bit of pre-discussion outside beforehand, and it just came to me. And this is not to you specifically. This is kind of what I like to ask everybody, not necessarily in these words, but it's just something I think about. Especially when I watch a lot of people, our peers and things like that. Is it more important to you to be recognized for a role or to be recognized for you doing your role well?
I would say for me doing my role well, because anybody can do a role. Anybody can do a good role. But if you talking about as being behind or just acting?
And any role. So what and motivation behind my question is I run across a lot of people who the fact that they have gotten a chance to be an actor on set today or be the director, it becomes important to them to remind you that they are that. Instead of taking that opportunity to do it well, so you don't have to remind people that they're just like, holy shit, aren't you the person who
shine in your role?
Right.
Don't demand.
I think there's this
spit on you and rub it.
Yeah, there's this focus for us to where what we so people ask me, what do you do? Oh, I work in movies. Oh, anything I've seen? Probably not. I'd like for you to, and then I'll move into talking about it.
But here's some you can see.
But exactly. But what I don't do, like I don't wear it like, oh, I'm in film and I do this, I do that as a point of conversation to where like that's because I do it because I love it. I don't do it because I want to be seen doing it. And I guess that's my motivation for it. Is it more important to you to have the clout of the positions that were offered, or is it more important for you to obtain that opportunity to really demonstrate why you got the opportunity? And it sounds like an obvious answer to the question, like why would anyone answer otherwise? But people's behaviors reflect differently.
Yeah, let's hear his answer.
So I don't do anything trying to say what I do in film or anything. I'm more the person who's more collaborative. Like I don't feel like I'm bigger than the project. I'm always for the project. Like even in California, like I told my friends that I filmed with, I was like, I only want to do this film if we're going to do it as together, not one person making all this money for it, but we're all in it as a unit. That's the only way I want to do it. If we're not doing that, then I don't want to do it, because then everybody start having egos. It gets individualized. Yeah. This person is getting all of this person. Man, I might have sacrificed everything, we're using all my equipment, and I'm not reaping any of the benefits. So that's what I told them in California. And when I was here, the project I was telling you about, I felt like he was doing more everything himself. You know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to blow up his own self. And I'm more I was actually speaking up for everybody, because I'm for everybody. Yeah. I want everybody to come up the same way, because that's typically with success.
But if one of us is going to blow up, we should all blow up together. Why are you singling yourself out?
Filmmaking is a team sport.
Every single position is equally valuable.
Yeah, we cannot say that enough.
People wearing multiple hats.
So fucking important. And not only that, right before we hit record on here, you had said something else that I kind of let go because I wanted to be able to open up to more conversation. And that is that you should not have more responsibility on set than you can handle.
Right.
You know, so in your experience, tell us a little bit about, like, you know, because we all do it. There's been times like, you know, the small sets, we take on multiple roles, but how do you feel that affects quality?
So leading into the example of one of my friends who feels like he needs to do everything on set, I'll tell him, like, you can't be perfect at everything. You can't be an actor on your own film that you want to have and be the DP, be this person, the sound guy, the person that's lighting, the person that's directing. That's too much. And you're not even going to focus on the acting that much, because the acting is really what you're in it for. So you let somebody else do the other jobs to help the project.
In my mind, you just described 20 jobs and you got one guy trying to fill this.
And that's where I want to tie that first question I asked you, because yes, technically, you can do it. So you can't tell someone you can't do that.
You can.
I know you can do it.
You're not going to do it good.
But you're not going to do it well.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's so it, like, is it more important to you as an artist, not you specifically, the
royal we.
Thank you, the royal we. To say, I made, like, there's a clip going on online in the reels where someone had done a private premiere for their movie, and someone's showing the filming of the end credits, and his name was literally listed as everything. Now I can only imagine what can only imagine what that viewing experience was like, because I imagine that was a hard watch. But why, dude? Why do
your name only has to be up there once if you did everything.
Do one thing well. Do one thing well. Now, I'm not saying don't learn other things or learn other things to do at different times, because that's, I think, another thing that's important to us. Multiple roles. So, you know, you had mentioned coming in that you do a lot of things. Yeah. Right? Is there?
I only do one thing at a time, though. If I got a film,
I strive to try to do just one thing, but sometimes it winds up being two. You know.
But you can't. As long as they don't offset each other.
Acting in a small role while doing a bigger role behind the scenes.
Right.
And again, my lighting doesn't get sacrificed for the one little scene. I light it first with a stand-in, and then
you can't shoot it and direct it unless you have other people who experience at shooting. Like this particular person has Joe Blow. I just need you to press record. I'm like, what if y'all do something in the scene, they don't recognize that they're supposed to move the camera or something, you know, in the scene. Like now you're making, your project is not looking that good, for one.
That's going to reflect.
So I tell him, like for me, if I wrote something, I'm just going to direct it or shoot it. I'm not going to act in it, because that's too much work. That's too much brain you're using trying to make
and
sure.
And why wouldn't you want to give another artist an opportunity to take the paints that you laid out? You know what I mean? Like,
it's
see
very
what
selfish.
Cool. This is how I saw it in my head. Now hand it over to somebody else and see what you can do with it.
As you said, Bradford, as we always say, the very nature of filmmaking and movie making is, or even theater, is a collaborative art. So if, like you said, if you've laid the framework, why wouldn't you let someone else try their hand at painting it? You can always repaint it if you don't like it, or direct them in the right way. You know what I mean?
Some of the books that I read early on in
they may show you an avenue that you didn't think of.
That have a focus on, like, directing your first movie, or like we've discussed before, a lot of us come into film and we only know of the actors and the directors. We think, like, that's movie making, actor, director. So a lot of these books are, you know, direct your own, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things that is said many times, and other books I've read, and other, you know, things like editing as well, but if you've not cut your favorite shot from a finished product, it's not finished. And what I think is, how that can be applied elsewhere is, you know, something like, you know, if you wrote something, you want to direct it, if you can't give up, like, oh, you're so close to that baby that you can't give it to somebody else to perform for you, then I think you're not done yet. You got
not ready.
Hand it over, and that's the completion to that process, to allow that other nurturer to come in and help you create.
And I also feel So I told one of my acting coach, I was like, I think I want to direct the film. And he was like, really? I was like, yeah, because I understand what actors supposed to be doing in the scenes. I understand storytelling. I understand how to get actors where you need, which some of the projects I was on earlier in my career, they were just, hey, here's the script. Just go. You know what I'm saying? Not giving me the direction that I needed as an actor.
No blocking, no reason.
Yeah, they don't even teach motivation. Most of the stuff ain't even blocking. No, and another thing that I've learned as a filmmaker, I don't like cameras just on sticks. Like, that's because it's boring to me. It's just, it makes you just seem like you're just there. You know what I'm saying? But if you got some subtle movement and stuff, it makes you feel something, because it's supposed to be motion pictures anyway, not still pictures.
Yeah, and there's some truth to that. I think it's a a blend using them, because I think with a still camera, it does allow for the talent to emote and create that movement.
But what if you're not, though?
And I think that in some scenarios, if the camera is moving, you might be taking away from the momentum and the energy that the actor is bringing. Or conversely, if they're not, like, I would hide poor acting in camera movements. I would, if that makes the film better. So I guess that still comes back to motivation.
Yeah,
I see
it's all
why.
motivated.
I see why still shots are needed. I see why we use the sticks. I'm a person who, for a very long time, before I was actually working in film, so a lot of the stuff that we shot commercially outside of feature films, I was a big proponent of handheld and movement.
We always did handheld in our live video footage.
But it was living in the moment. I was trying. There was a motivation for it. As I got into film, and even as ADing, there are many times where I'm like, why can't we just hand cam this? Why can't we do, shoulder mount on this? But they're the artists, and they make their decisions for the reasons they make them. And I understand them once you give them a chance to do that, because in the moment, as an actor, you see the camera just sitting there, and it kind of just feels like a lame audience sitting there staring at you, right? It's a bit underwhelming.
It's not interactive.
But that's one piece of the puzzle. You're going to shoot it multiple times, and that's
But most of the films I'm watching here, it's
understood.
That's all I see is those shots, and they're not even tastefully done. It's not no jump cuts. It's not no.
Do you know a big part of that is you're rushing. They try to fit too many pages in a day because they look at it and say, "Oh, this scene's no big deal. It's a talkie, blah blah blah," and you want to rush into it.
And the only rehearsals they've had are like talk throughs.
So then you start burning time. You start burning time because you didn't have the rehearsals, because you didn't have the blocking. So the actors have questions. The actors have mistakes and mess ups. You're shooting a wide 8 different times when you know that you're going to be getting into coverage. And what happens is now you've crunched yourself. You should be getting out of this scene. You've only gotten your standard over the shoulder. So that's it. You can't get any inserts. There's no time for this and that because we've got to move on. And then you start cutting out those important things. And for a lot of people, they don't see it. And, the viewership is always going to be our tell, right? And if these film producers are getting viewership and they're
allowed to get away with it,
then they're not going to change it. So we see it, and I think the audience sees it too, and they don't realize what they're seeing, but there's something there that they're forgiving because they're getting something else out of it. And it's up to us to be able to grow.
Because if you got it on sticks and a person is screaming, like go from 0 to 100. It's just boring to me.
There's got to be a push in or a jump cut in.
100%. Because all parts of the puzzle need to be talking to each other. And I think what you're referring to is, there's a complacency to just like, okay, let's just grab this because then we can get it. Another thing that I fight against a lot is the oneer. There are times where like, well, I want to get this thing on this thing on this thing. And I'll be like, well, we just don't have time for that. And they're like, well, I'll get in a oneer. Okay, but that means you need to nail the rehearsal. You need to know exactly what you're doing. The actors need to be able to nail it. And what ends up happening is an hour and 45 minutes later, you're still trying to get that one shot because there's nothing to cut to. So you got to get a perfect take. And you don't realize how quickly time just eats itself away when you're focused in on something like that. That, someone like myself as an AD comes over and be like, listen, dude, we've been on this an hour and a half. We got to go.
If we're talking,
you're fucked.
If we're talking in metaphor in forms of like an assembly line, you're missing a whole conveyor belt when you work that way. So it's 100%. Now a half-built package is just falling on the floor, and somebody has to pick it up and try to put it back together. You got pieces mixing, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
you may get a finished product out the door, but this car don't drive right.
But they don't know how to shoot a production script. I think that's the biggest issue.
Yes.
Is because like I said, I learned this in the acting school that I go to in the Actors Loft. It's a screenwriter who I learned from. When we shot a short film, they break down everything. Everything is structured, even how you shoot one page of dialogue and you shoot it in eighths. I guarantee you go on productions right now, it's not being shot like that. Because that way you're making sure you maximizing time and you're getting a performance.
That's how I prepare a breakdown when I'm a AD, because there are a lot of sets that we end up on and they're like, oh no, we're all taken care of, we have an AD. And then I end up gripping with Joe and I see the dailies. There's no breakdown to it. They don't have any idea how long this page is. And you have to break it down in eighths. You have to know by eighth what's happening in there. So I break down, I have the data days, you get all the props, all the locations, everything. It's all in a number of different documents.
As a gaffer, when I get a proper breakdown, I get, without sides, at least half the motivation for what I'm lighting for.
What it allows you to do, if all that information is sent to your team ahead of time, then when you get onto set, everyone knows what's going on. And there are things that can be done without being told. The director doesn't have to say, we're going to be because the camera team already knows that by looking at the script, by looking at the breakdowns, by looking at the location that we're at right now, I can assume this number of things. So we can at least start prepping for that while this is happening, while the lighting guys are assuming that. And then we get together and we make our plans, and then the individual plans are laid out. And that's how things are going to happen in a smooth manner. In a set where those things aren't done, so much time is lost in unexplainable.
Let's talk about when you got a home base that's more than 100 yards away. Let's go ahead and put it like 2 city blocks away. That happens a lot, right? And the prop master has to stay there, can't really be on set, right? Right? But now you need and the whole team's left, and because there was no proper list, a prop is missed. You miss a whole hour.
Everything
almost.
Stands still.
Yeah.
You got to find someone who can leave set to go grab it, hoping that they know where it is when they get there.
Right.
Because if they don't, they're going to run over there. You lost that time. Yeah. They're going to look. You've lost that time. They can't find it. They make a phone call or a walkie call for directions. And most people, for whatever reason, will be like, well, you know what? Forget it. I'll come get it. So now we're holding. You've got one person who's already taken the time away over there waiting.
How far is it?
While another person says,
but you're forgetting the half hour in between the drive.
Every minute adds up, and eventually it's going to cost you money. I mean, it's already costing you money. It's just whether or not you realize what it's costing you.
You just dropped 2 hours worth of all this.
And how do you make time back? You make time back by rushing everything else. Exactly. How often as an actor have you had to rush through a scene?
So luckily, I've worked with some people.
Just this Friday.
Oh, man. That was a whole different story. Oh,
that was different than Saturday. No, please, you go ahead.
So luckily, I've been working with people who have pretty good structure, like a guy named Joe Paul Reisig. Literally everything is prepared. Like I don't have to. As an actor, I'm good because he already working with us. While he already talked to his DP how they're going to do the scene and all that, and then he's talking to us to figure out.
Yeah, Joel has a good process.
He has, because he learned through the same person I learned from screenwriting, who's an Emmy Award winner at the Actors Loft. His name is Chuck. But and even the Actors Loft, they structure everything. They teach you all the different jobs on the scene, so you can know exactly. Yeah, it's like so you can know how the business is ran. Pretty much. And that's how I've learned most of the stuff that I learned. I didn't even know how to be assistant director. I know what the job of assistant director is, to be the vocal voice of the director, doing everything that he shouldn't be doing, because he should be focusing on the
emotion.
That's the job. The assistant director's job is to do all the jobs necessary to keep the director's job focused forward. It is not to go grab him coffee. That's what PAs are for.
Yeah.
Or his actual assistant. If you're in that big of a...
Exactly.
And then when I also learned on sets, like, people just telling people like, oh, you just do the scene like this. Like, it's emotional preparation you have to go, if you're an actor, to do these these scenes these lines that you're doing, you can't just memorize it and then just go up there and say it. It don't even make sense to me. Like I watch films so much that I'm not even invested into the characters because I don't feel what they're feeling, even when they're saying something. And that's why I told the person that I want to direct, because I studied at some great places in California where they just break everything down to all your emotions, to how you're supposed to come into the scene, where you're going, where you're coming from, and to
where were you?
Yeah. And I guarantee if I go into a set and these same actors who everybody see, in these different films, and ask them just the simple questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. I bet you they couldn't even give me any of those answers that you need to really know your character. You know what I'm saying?
I couldn't give an example without just fabricating, but I know that I've seen interviews and read interviews of actors or from directors who have worked with actors in the big leagues, who have come to the directors and asked specific questions about their character that's not in the script. And the reason that they do that is because they want to know that character. That character is not them. They need to know and live in it. So when they can ask, something like, what...
this person right-handed, is this person left-handed?
Yes. And your director and your writers will give you two different answers. They could say, well, what do you think? And, how do you, and then you own it. Yeah. Or then they can tell it. But one way or another, as an actor, you need to be asking that question.
Yeah, and if you don't give me an answer, I'm going to come up with one.
But you won't come up with an answer if you didn't ask the question. So in the first place, you have to, and I agree with you have to explore the characters well beyond the page, because that, I think, is the art of the page. You said earlier that anyone can just come out and act, and you can. 100% anyone can act. But to do the job well, there are steps that you need to take. When it comes to getting scripts, how do you approach a character? Is there a way that you approach either exploring a role that you're excited about, or once you've gotten a role, how to search and answer these questions?
So one, I always get coached when I have a big audition. Like I don't want it, because I always need a person in my head, to maybe I haven't thought about something, because I still approach it how I've learned, breaking down, knowing where I'm at in the scene and all this. What is my character's emotional? How is he feeling in this scene and stuff like that? But I always go to people who I know are booking real stuff. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, not to gloat or anything. It's like, you guys watch Family Matters, right?
Oh, yeah.
So the person who played Maxine is a good friend of mine. She actually helped me with some of my auditions.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Awesome. Shout out.
And the person who I trained with, his name's Sheik. And y'all, somebody mentioned a name, which Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
Who was the bad guy?
The Butcher.
Daniel Day-Lewis.
That's his close friend.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes, he always talk him. Daryl Orlando is his friend. Samuel Jackson, because he's from New York and he studied at New York University or whatever.
Okay.
But I tend to go to these people because I don't want to. Even if I'm not doing it, I don't feel it. Then I need them to help me get to a point where I'm understanding it. Because I don't want to. Because this is my lasting impression that I'm making. I don't want it to be a bad one.
No, I understand completely. Like I always, when he's available, I use Bradford to film for me, so you could well, have you thought of it this way? We try this.
And you're saying you approach them even before the audition?
Yeah, I always, because any big audition, I need somebody. I don't need just a reader, because a reader is just going to read. Yeah, they're not going to tell you how or listen to what you're doing and see like. You're not feeling it. Like I got to do. I don't know if y'all know Antoine
Jackson.
Yeah. He helped me with some of my Chicago PD auditions.
Oh, okay.
So and he's also in the dude Sheik's class. Like,
okay. Yeah, I love Antoine.
I remember Antoine talking about Sheik. Yeah,
that's my guy. Yeah,
all good things. Yeah,
but that's how I prepare. I don't like just memorize it. And I learned through another person in California said, you shouldn't memorize the words. You should memorize the emotion of the dialogue.
The point of what's being said.
Because then you will know the dialogue once you know how this person feels.
That's one of the things that I notice the most. I've always been, being in the theater life for so long, you just become cognizant of things. And one of the things that my eyes and ears pick up on is, unfortunately, lesser quality acting. And one of the things that it hits me right away is when someone is just saying words. There's nothing that can hide the intonation of someone who knows how something would be said while saying the words and just thinking about the words. What word comes next? What word comes next? There's
if you live in the emotion of what was written, the words almost don't matter. You can ad-lib, you can say something else as long as you don't lose the structure of it, as long as the emotion is conveyed properly.
Right.
You can change the words.
Like Denzel and Malcolm X, when Spike Lee talked about Denzel, he was filming the scene when Denzel was giving a speech, and he said Denzel just kept going. He said he didn't even write none of the stuff Denzel was saying. He was like, he just
got
embodied
into the character, embodied.
So
that's a beautiful moment when you see those things happen, or if you've ever been a part of one of those. It's just, it's so beautiful.
So I'm hearing a lot of you talk about classes and
some people
counseling.
probably don't do here.
So that,
Put the work in. Put in the work.
I'd like. How long have you been
Training?
taking classes? At what point? How long were you working before you decided to take classes? And do you believe that you weren't serious until you started taking classes?
I believe that I didn't know what I was doing when I first started, because, you get everybody out here just directing and they're just shooting, hearing you memorize the line and just saying them and not understanding their own work, like their vision. Right. They not even understand their own vision, and they just got you doing something. So once I started taking classes and I understood different techniques to help you get to where you need to go, then I feel like I became better at a lot of things, because once you understand what you're doing behind the camera, you get in front of it.
You switch your mindset to be growth oriented.
Yeah.
And that's, and a lot of people are just, I made it here, I'm happy here. Yeah. And it's kind of a little, I don't know if directly a joke, but why hashtag set life? Because some people live a hashtag set life because it's about the social media presence, not the art of the film,
being
or the
recognized for the role,
or becoming better and being growth oriented.
Right. Yeah. More important to demonstrate that you are here as opposed to demonstrating that you're here to win.
Right.
I think, you know.
I think my biggest, so I'm extremely hard on myself. Even, I actually on social media, like, man, I quit this acting. I'm so sick of it. It's so freaking hard, because I feel like even the person who I told you was my acting teacher told me, he's like, Deon, you're good. Like, I don't understand why you're not further along in your acting. You know what I'm saying? And I told him I had to think about it for a second. And it's because one of the things I do is put negativity into the world on myself. Like, I'm not really thinking about, when I get to audition, that's the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't get audition opportunities. And when I get like a veil, which is almost booking, and I don't get it, I'll be calling it like the first loser. You know what I'm saying? Right. Putting all that negative into the world, and it's not helping me get past it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so, positivity does beget positivity.
So I've been trying to change that.
You're cynical ass.
Yeah.
Well, I knew there was a reason you came into my life. I'm good at showing people the light.
It's just, and I want to see everybody successful. That's what I was about to talk before. Like a little earlier in the talks, success is not how much success you have, about the people who joined that journey with you of being successful.
Yeah,
and that's how I am. Yeah. And that's exactly how
you see your success based upon the success that's spread around you. Yeah, I can really respect that.
Yeah.
If my circle's growing, if my circle's rising, I'm rising.
Right.
Yeah.
But
hell yeah.
And that's why I say I want to direct, because I want to give people a real experience into how it's supposed to go, and not just running the camera and just listening to people deliver dialogue. You know what I'm saying?
So from your experiences on set, either as an actor or as a crew member, what are some things that you've seen directors do or not do that you would do differently?
I'll go with the do's because I don't want. I'm keep the negativity out of it.
There you go. That's it. That's the first step.
So
baby.
what I seen a person do is to hit a button where it brings something out of you. Like I've been in theater. I've done like 8 plays here, but I had a talk with this guy, and it was like a scene about the losing a father or something. And he made me remember why I started acting. And it was mainly because I had a father who later on in his life, his health was failing or whatever. Okay. And I remember this one thing that kind of pissed me off that he said. And he was like, he had both his legs amputated and everything. Oh. He told me that I'll never amount to anything. And I use that to motivate everything that I do, even when I'm acting. That's like my thing to get me to the emotion that I need, because I remember him saying, and it's like it plays over and over in my mind.
Yeah.
So this person pulled that out of me like we were doing the play, and I just teared up because I never released it.
Yeah.
And that is something that
it opened a door.
Yeah, because we're
cathartic, yes.
Because we're all hiding, pretty much, and don't want to come beyond that door. Yeah. We always want to be sealed in. And he did that, and that's what I feel like I want to do.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. You had a fellow actor show you how to properly use that floodgate. Like, this is the time you can let that out, buddy.
Was that an actor or a director?
Yeah, it was an actor. Well, he directs too. His name is.
But at the moment, he was an actor.
In the
both,
moment,
actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a director at this moment.
Okay.
His name is Andre Franklin. He's here too.
Oh, so he was your director in the moment.
Yep.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Wow.
Because that's really what a director is there to do.
Yes. Yes.
Guide that emotion. Tell you it's okay to go this far, or maybe rein it in.
Yep.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, the least of things that a director needs to do is call cut and action.
And bare minimum.
There's a number of directors.
A lot of them don't. A lot of ADs do it.
There's typically that's where the job. That's whose job it is.
Yeah.
And that's how you don't fuck up Tail Slate, because the director will look at the AD and say, okay, that's a cut. Then the AD
calls
will say,
the command.
Correct. Exactly. But there are a lot of directors that I've worked with in one capacity or another out here who they really do. They check out after cut. They check out. They're not looking at what's happening next. They're just waiting for everything else to happen. And then they need to be told, like, okay, we're ready. Oh, okay, then it's just action. What have you really done to direct or facilitate anything that has to do with what we're about to see? Directors should want to have that personal engagement and personal, one of the better directors that I've worked with, and someone who I like working with whenever I have the opportunity, is Lance Kawas, who we talked about a little bit.
Lance is amazing
on Dylan's thing.
He's got a new deal with Corey James Taylor and
Joe
Paul Rising. Yeah. So
okay.
They got a new project coming up. I'm
Wonderful.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to get on it or something. But
so
I'm proud for that partnership, though. Those
Joe's
are 3 filmmakers
guy.
that need to work together for sure.
But working with Lance, one of the things that I love about him is he is always in tune. Now, if he knows that a setup is going to take 35 minutes and there's nothing he can do, he will step aside. And I respect that, because I always know where he's at, and I know that he's getting his mind right, whether it's getting personal things off his plate so he doesn't have to think about it when he's on set, or whatever it may be. But when we're engaged, he comes to set every day prepared with when I mention, okay, this is the set, this is the scene, other directors are like, well, what scene is that? And I'm like, well, hold on. What?
No, Lance knows.
He knows exactly what's going on.
Because I thought we were doing this one first. Whatever, we'll start there. But so, fill me in. Yeah, I love him.
One of my favorites to work
beautifully
with because of his engagement. You can tell his passion for what he's putting together just by the passion that he puts forth on set.
Yeah, I love Lance.
I would say y'all need to work with this guy named Anthony Cuffey as well, because he's an actor's director.
I would love to. Yeah.
He's gonna do the same thing. He knows it. He's a writer too, so he's gonna make sure his actors are prepared, and every actor that he's had says nothing but great things about him. Because he's not a person that's just gonna run the character. He's gonna set you aside and talk about the character. You know what I'm saying?
Lance definitely does that, and I wouldn't call Lance a writer per se, but he does rewrite a lot of his projects. Just part of his process.
Yeah, I can't say whether or not, because I believe he may have mentioned having out a script before, but I don't know.
Yeah, he's done a few, but he wouldn't go around like, I'm a writer.
Yeah. Sure.
And my guy Harley Whalen, I don't know if y'all ever worked with him.
I have, yeah.
I've not had a chance to work with Harley.
I've not worked on his projects, but I have worked with him.
I've worked on a project with him, but
not a Whalen Productions or whatever.
No, he was an actor. And he worked a day that I didn't. So.
He was on 2 days of If I Can't Have You.
Yeah, he's good. You know, I like collaborating. Matter of fact, when I used to fly back, when I flew back here when I was in Cali last time, it was to work with him on a project. Not many people can get me to come back here and work on a project. Joe can do it, Anthony Cuffey can do it, and probably Harley, because I feel like their projects do something. Harley doesn't just put his stuff on just Tubi.
He takes it out. Yeah, no, they did
he shops it properly.
Yeah, yes.
They did a big, I forget the name of the title of the last one, but they took it out to LA to make sure it had proper screenings.
Finding Nicole.
Oh, I was in it.
Or Ash and Bone.
Ash and Bone is the one I was talking about. But yes, Finding Nicole was another one. I think that one's still on the marketing circuit.
And it's doing good. Like, it's doing amazing. And I think he's in the distribution stage for it, because he's the one who told me, he's like, Tubi should
that one's not actually released yet.
Right.
Yeah. He's like, Tubi is the last option. It's not the last option. It's the last thing you should do after you have your distribution deals. Like, you take care of all that, and then you put it on Tubi last, so you can make your money from Tubi and all that stuff. But
there's nothing wrong with Tubi.
Yeah, nothing at all.
The idea
again,
to just
be
produce
your end
something,
goal to survive after its earning age.
Right. There's so many other opportunities out there. Why would you close yourself off? Now, I think there's also a reality. Like, okay, is this thing I created? Where does it belong? Where's the right market for that? And I think the right market is sometimes for Tubi. That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the general idea of, anybody can make a movie and throw it on Tubi. That attitude sucks.
That's the truth, though. You know, it's funny. As much as it sucks, I see some bad projects.
So I have fallen asleep. I have fallen asleep watching some of our locally produced movies, right? So I'll watch it and then I'll get into the phone. So something else auto plays and eventually I wake up. So because these are independently released, to put you down the independently released algorithm, and I've woken up to some
horrible monsters.
Awful shit.
But regardless of all that, like a lot of filmmakers, especially the ones that are just doing it to throw it on Tubi, because that's like, it's the easiest. They're forgetting that you need double your budget just for marketing, 50% of what you're spending to actually get the name of the movie out there.
Things can exist.
Purchase or
the opportunity to watch something is different than whether or not people know there's the opportunity.
This is what I'm. Yes.
You know, if you don't know the greatest coffee spot, it doesn't matter if they make the greatest coffee.
I could live 2 blocks from it. I don't know about it.
No one comes in. It's like, coffee's great. How come no one's here? No one fucking knows you're there. Yeah. And that's. I mean, at this point, any streaming service, from music to movies to anything,
is all of them,
inundated
even
with
the
content.
Ones that are just mutating stuff in and out, still have so much that I doesn't even scratch the surface of
Let's narrow it down
recommended
to your daily routine of opening up Facebook or Instagram and finding that one reel that slapped, and you were like, oh my god. And then you want to go and show someone later. You can't.
It's in the ether. It's gone.
And the things that we put out content-wise might as well be, because if you don't type it specifically, it's not going to be offered in front of you.
Yep.
That's why I send it to my other profile, like stuff that was important to me, like as far as health stuff I should be consuming. I send it to myself, my other Instagram account, so I can go back and look at it later, because I know I ain't gonna be able to find it again.
I always save it to a private file.
Yeah. But
so Dan, let me ask you this: if you were to offer one tidbit of advice to somebody who is looking to get into the industry, regardless of the role, is there anything in particular that you could think of to offer somebody?
So, one would be do the work, because I didn't even start shooting anything until I was comfortable in understanding how it's supposed to look, and most people just shoot just to be shooting, right? Because somebody once told me, you put out quality, not quantity. because so anything I do is going to be heavily researched. And then another thing, well, most important, I would say, is make sure you have great people around you when you're doing something, because you don't want to do everything by yourself. It's going to look like that. You should put people who are good at what they do. I heard both one of y'all say that.
I want to second you on both of those, because networking is very important. So the people you surround you with, and yourself with. But that first one, just to bounce off of something you actually said earlier, is where you said, get yourself on set. Don't be afraid. Do the work, right? So, don't be afraid to PA. I don't care how high you get. And what you had said earlier was, don't come to set thinking you're better than any job or any position or any project, right? You're here to do the best you can with what's there. Bring 100%. And if, maybe like me, like if I got the opportunity to be on a larger budget set just as a PA, how much could I learn in those days that I'm on there from those people working on that type of budget? Like, I'm not afraid to be a PA. Never lose that hunger for growth and knowledge and to better yourself. Yeah.
But like I said, I would do the work. Don't let nobody deter you from what you're trying to do. Put good people around you. Be confident, most important. And create for yourself. Like, you don't have to wait on other people to put you in something. It took me a long time to realize that. And I still get, by my homeboy, he be like, man, we're waiting on you to write something so that we can blow up from it. And I have all these other life things going on in my life that's preventing me from doing it.
You go write something, bro. Not you, him.
The funny thing is, I have a writer, and I'm sitting on 6 scripts and 1 pilot right now, and I'm trying to motivate myself to even just remotely shoot the pilot episode.
Right, that energy he was giving you is why he ain't getting them scripts.
It's like, I need to go ahead, and I just told somebody, I was like, I'm about to go ahead and do it. I was like, I don't care if I have to do favors, put people as like I can't pay you right now, or just give them something right now, and then at the end when I use this as a reference.
You're talking about deferred payment or back end?
Not even deferred payment. Yeah, back end.
Back end.
So this person kind of opened my eye to everything. His name Morgan something. He's the person who first pitched Bel Air.
Oh, okay.
And he said he was just sitting in the tunnel, and the idea just came to him. He used his friends. They shot the little teaser trailer type of thing. Yeah. And then it blew up. Then Will Smith came and helped him pitch for the network, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, when he did get to the network, I think they talked him in getting rid of his friends who helped him put together the film. I don't want to do that. I want to have complete control.
You want an Always Sunny situation. Yeah. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
What?
The three guys from that, they
refused to be recast. They refused to replace anybody.
The first season was 4 or 5 episodes, something like that. It was
they won a contest for FX,
really low budget, and they put it out. But then they wanted to replace, and Danny DeVito saw it, loved it, and he came on as an EP, and he was like, "Nah, these are our guys." Like it was much more complicated than that. That's the brevity version.
And then eventually,
I agree though.
They wrote him into it,
especially like our working relationship. Joe and I have been. We do 2 different things in the industry. We have some crossovers, some similarities, but we have strengths in different areas. But ultimately, we're a partnership, and
regardless of what either of us is doing, we support, and
we're trying to grow, our individual business, and it's going to take us in different directions. And I know there's going to be some rubber banding and stuff, but ultimately, I want this whole ship, to go with it and together, in tandem. And anyone else that we find along the way, because I think everything you said is important. Finding the right people to work with is so important, and I feel like once you find them, if you can stick together,
that's the hardest part.
I don't think we're living in the same type of industry that they were living back in the 70s and 80s when Lucas and them. And they had their little cliques and things, but it was still the director cliques, and then ILM boys were over. Yeah. What I'm talking about here is I think we're in a day and age,
boys, an actual group of
where like with a project you're talking about, where with the right people, you take turns doing that discounted or free or whatever. We're just trying to get something done. Oh, you got a project? We'll do this. Because then next time it's going to be my turn. And I want that same thing for me. I'm not looking to... The difference is there are people who only call you when you're trying to do the free work. And there's not that. But, Joe and I are really starting to develop a group of professionals that we really enjoy and really see growth and possibility in. And those are the people that I would like to always...
I would back end for back end.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to hit. So as long as we're all like the same percentage each time, back and forth.
Yeah.
And then you grow when you grow.
Right.
We all grow
because I want to
together.
celebrate. I want to celebrate. You're like, oh my God, not only did I get a chance to work on that, but awesome. He was able to, you know.
Yeah.
And you never know who people know, because that's the good thing about being in California. Because I met this guy Ubering, and he's a good friend of mine. The person that I shot the films with, he knows everybody. The person who executive produced the films that we shot is a rapper known in Compton. He works with Kendrick Lamar, all of them, his people.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was just on stage when they did the Kendrick Lamar concert the other day.
Oh, really?
On stage. Yeah, his name Problem. But anyway, the locations we was using in California was all free.
It's all
you know what I'm saying?
Right. Somebody called in a favor.
He told his boys, we shot at a coffee shop.
Don't worry about them. They out in New York. You're good for the day.
I mean, there's kind of something like that around here, because there is an interwoven community in Detroit where there are a number of people that know other people, and there are networks and things. But I think the biggest problem we have out here is communicating what we need when we show up to a place. Joe, I'm gonna wrap this out. So I've seen some.
There is a network in Detroit, but
specifically what I mean is to come in. Oh yeah, this is my boys spot, and then we come in, and no one does anything about taking care of it. You might not be boys. Because the things that I've seen, I've seen done on set, and not by me, by people who knew the guy. Oh no, he's my boy. Don't even worry about it, type of thing. And I'm like, bro, this is gonna be an issue with you. But
we're like, what do you mean you can't? No, you can't get blood on my wood floors.
Those things. You didn't say you were going to do that. You didn't mention that.
Cover.
So, but Deon, I want to thank you very much for coming on and hanging out with us and sharing your wisdom. Before we take off, is there any social presence or links that you want to send out to have people connect with you or your work?
Like I said, Instagram, I am Deon Andrew Hunt. The email, if you want to book me for a project, bookdeonh@gmail.com.
Do you IMDb Pro? Do you have all your info on there?
I don't have Pro because it's too expensive.
Yeah, I don't have it either.
But I do have a free one.
I
got the free one too.
Joe, how can people find you?
As always, Instagram at chaotic_artisan and IMDb or Facebook at Joseph Sheldon Quick.
And my IMDb is at Beeford Clark. The podcast, the podcast Instagram is at ufostudio.detroit. You can go to our website at ufpodcast.podbeam.com, Facebook Unorthodox Film Podcast, and you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube and wherever else podcast is available.
We on all of them.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. As always, chime in on the conversation. Join us on our social media networks. Go to the pages on Spotify and Apple and communicate with us with comments. Do you have anything to say to our guests? Anything you want to say to us? Any questions that you have? Any guests that you want us to try and get? Any topics that you want us to try and discover? I do want to highlight one of our listeners, Carl.
Carl Vervish
had reached out and gave us a number of different suggestions that we're going to try and take care of. So we do appreciate that, and we want to thank you for listening. And everybody else out there for listening as well. So again, send us those comments, and if you could like and subscribe and give us some 5 stars if you feel so inclined.
Keep living that #SetLife.
Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time.